coming up, coming up,
So I said, got it. Yeah,
coming in, coming in. We're coming in. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 Facebook. Hello, hello, hello. And welcome to this edition of Office Hours with Lanora. Office Hours with Lanora, as you all know, serves 3 points. The first point is for said person that is starting to learn about their options related to a real estate career, help them to understand those options. The second reason is for anyone that has started a journey and may have started a pre-licensing course, help them to pass that course on a first attempt. And third, the reason for Office Hours with Lanora is to help anyone that has already began a career in real estate stay in this business. I think you both can see that I have a guest. I've got a guest for us today, Mr. Aaron A.J. Joyner.
Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land.
Aaron, I want to thank you again for joining me. For those that don't know, let me introduce the man of the next 20 to 30 minutes. His name is Aaron Joyner. We go by, I can call him AJ. Maybe he'll let you call him AJ too. But he is one of the best instructors over at the Realtors Real Estate School. Aaron is responsible for helping to educate our morning only students that are taking classes with us on an abbreviated schedule. They're with him from 9 a.m. to 12:45, 3 times out of the week, a little over 6 weeks to complete the required broker 75-hour pre-licensing course. But that's not all that Aaron does. Yes, he is a pre-licensing instructor. Yes, he is a CE instructor. But first and foremost, he is a realtor. He is a realtor, and he has been in this business since about 20 plus years, 97.
23 and a half years.
Okay, so it's going on. This is your 24th year that we're in.
November, yes.
Nice.
November.
So look, Aaron has been around, you guys. So he was a salesperson first, and now Aaron is the managing broker of, I didn't want to say it wrong, A&L Enterprise LLC Real Estate Company. Did I get it right?
Yes.
All right. So for me, Aaron, that means you come with some experience, very knowledgeable about the industry, both as a practicing professional as well as an instructor. I love Aaron's way of teaching, you guys. So if you can ever take one of the pre-licensing or CE classes with him, it is, I'm telling you, you should sign up for it, only because he is so thorough. I think I might be a little on a thorough side, but Aaron tops me. He beats me. So he's very attentive, very detail oriented. So he will definitely help you pass this licensing exam if you are a student that would like to join one of his classes and continue to be a sponge in that class. Am I right, Aaron?
You are correct, Lanora.
All right, so let's get this party started. Why don't you, since I've introduced you a little bit, I have some questions that I want to ask, but is there anything that you would like to say first, Aaron?
No, go ahead on. I'll let you lead.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I guess my first question, because it helps to kind of reinforce why you chose to teach. Can you give us a good an answer to why did you choose a career in real estate first and foremost?
Well, I really didn't choose real estate. It kind of chose me.
I know that question.
I bought my first house in 1994. Okay. And at that time, I had a salesperson give me a listing. I wanted a certain area that I wanted to look at. I went and looked at the area. I liked the house, but I saw next door there was a house for sale by owner. So I inquired about the house for sale by owner. It was $5,000 cheaper than the one that my realtor had given me for my listings.
Okay.
So I told my realtor, let me try to negotiate this deal on my own, identical house, identical setup and everything, but it was $5,000 cheaper. Okay. So I called the owner, made an appointment to see the house, saw the house, negotiated my own contract, hired my own attorney, and I closed on the deal. So when I told my salesperson about that, he said, "You did all that on your own?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You should come work for me." So to make a long story short, he kept hounding me. for 3 years, because that was in 94 when I bought my first house.
Okay.
I didn't get my license until November 1997.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's how I got into the real estate. And it's really because of his persistence, his demeanor, because I like the guy, he was a nice guy, Doug Jackson. I give a shout out to Doug because
Hey,
he's my
Doug.
mentor, and we still are friends to this day.
Nice.
I can call him at any time, ask about any kind of real estate question. So Doug Jackson, thank you for being persistent.
Thank you, Doug, for sending Aaron to us. At least you remember who brought you into real estate. I can't even remember the guy that tried to swindle me. So I don't even remember his name. All right. So now that we know what got you started in a career in real estate, what made you want to become an instructor?
Well, out in the field, I see a lot of agents, for the lack of better words, shortcuts, do a lot of shortcuts, trying to do things not fully the way that they should have been taught. So my goal was like, okay, were they taught correctly? Or was it something that they learned after they got their license? So I said, well, you know what? Let me get on the front end of it. Let me teach students the correct way. Let me teach them the do's and the don'ts. Okay. Let me teach them to value their license once they get it. So that's why I wanted to become an instructor.
Very good. Very good. Now, not just your class, but the course itself, specifically speaking of pre-licensing at this point, is the pre-licensing course that 75 hours worth of work? Can you wing it? Can you just kind of guess your way through it? Or tell me, how engaged must you be in this type of course?
Very, very, very engaged.
Very.
Because what I tell my students is that even though I give them a lot of material, give them a lot of study aids and everything, they have to read the book.
Right.
There's no way around it because we cannot cover all this material in 60 hours or 75-hour class. It is impossible to cover 23 chapters in that short period of time. So I encourage them to read every single chapter, to do the study questions at the end of each unit, to get some kind of software to help them answer questions, to any material that we give them from the school, to study that material as well. Because just by sitting in the class and listening to me, it's not going to cut it.
So when you say software, Aaron, are you speaking of like a study aid to help them? Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. My students highly recommend, every class, they highly recommend some type of study aid to help them through the class.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because the more questions that you answer, the more familiar you become with the material.
That is true. That is true. Walk the audience and myself through what a typical day, because your class is virtual. It's a Zoom webinar. So similar to where we are right now, they will see you in this setting. I could pretend to be a student. So I have the ability to ask you a question in real time. I can also type a question in the chat box that's a part of the Zoom.
Now, stop right there. I don't use the chat box for questions. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why. I tell my students from the first day of class, if in this business, you have to be able to communicate verbally. Because you're dealing with other agents, other realtors, you're dealing with appraisers, lenders, mortgage brokers, the seller side, the buyer side. So you're able to communicate. So I enforce that from day number one. Unless I put them in the chat box for them to respond to. I don't take questions from the chat box. You have to talk to me.
I love it. I mean, because believe it or not, I'm on the other side. I get them in. I talk to the students and help them prepare for their course. But when they get to you, it should be conversational. Absolutely. Only because you're going to be doing that in the real world, in the industry. So some students are now texters with these two thumbs or whatever, and that's their form of communication. But when you're handling multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollar contracts, you want to be able to communicate effectively, speaking the language, sometimes writing, chatting. I get it, but I'm in tune with you. Yes. I want you to talk to me.
Yes.
I don't want it to be misinterpretation.
And I stress that from day number one. And some students, of course, they would try me. They put them in the chat box, and I see it. And I said, well, I see somebody has a question. You ask me the question. I don't respond to it. I make them talk.
So I know what to say now when I start talking about your class. I didn't know that. So you just shared something with me. Walk us through what in your virtual class, what a typical class session is like.
Well, every morning I start off with we do the gallery view, since we're in Zoom. I start with the gallery view and I say good morning to everybody every single day. That's number one. Number two is that I normally, if they have, we have our module course workbook that we give our students from the school. If they have any questions related to the module course workbook, I ask them about if they have any questions. Let's answer those questions first, because they should have already studied every single unit that we're going to cover, and that they should have covered the module workbook as well.
Okay.
So we start our class off on the next day. Do you have any questions regarding the module workbook? Let's go through those first before we start our new chapter for the day. And then once we get into the chapter, it's definitely questions. You know, I'm interacting with them. I might put a question up for them to answer. If I ask them a question and put it on the screen, then of course they can respond via the chat box. Or sometimes they respond verbally, but only at when I put it in there.
Okay.
Other than that, yeah, that chat box, I don't utilize it like that for them to kind of hide behind the screen.
Okay. And cameras must be on. You need to see
Cameras
them.
must be, yes, they see me. I want to see you as well.
Right. So we want this to be as close to a classroom environment. You wouldn't be able to hide in a classroom. So we don't want you to hide behind the camera, even though Mr. Joyner's class is virtual. Still want to see you, because believe it or not, that helps you, Aaron. It helps you to be able to engage. And you know, if you're a deer in headlights and you're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm not saying it to you. You can see me and you can say, hey, Lanora, everything's okay over there? You got it? Okay. Do you encourage the students to do advanced reading or pre-read chapters prior to them joining the session?
Yes, I encourage them to read the chapter that I'm going to discuss prior to that discussion, because they have an outline. They have my syllabus. So they know exactly what units I'm going to cover every single day.
I have 2 degrees, a bachelor and a master's degree. I have not had an instructor like Mr. Aaron Joyner's syllabus. Would I tell you, this thing is spot on perfect. It is biblical to a sense, because he has provided everything that you need to be successful in this class. It's discipline. It's making or allotting the time to read, to get your studies together, to even jot down questions that you may have as the class is flowing. I wouldn't want anybody to kind of jump ahead. If you're on unit 4, we shouldn't be talking about unit 12. But it helps when you're learning in this way, because this class is a little over 6 weeks, 3 times a week. They're with you 3 hours and 45 minutes. So Aaron can't go over the entire book in a week. You have to do the reading. You have to do the preparatory work throughout the week, those days that you're not in his particular class.
Right. And also, Aaron? That's right, Lanora. And also as well, there's always time in my class for review.
Yes.
I've had a lot of time. It's not on the syllabus per se, but it's definitely some little pockets here and there where I might spend 15 minutes at the end of each day. Let's go some materials that we learned for the first 5 chapters. So I always have some ongoing review during the class as well.
Now, this question personally is mine, and it is, what is your best instructor advice for a pre-licensing student to pass the licensing exam on a first attempt?
Definitely read every single chapter, number 1. Definitely make out some note cards or some flashcards, or some kind of way that you can still be absorbing the material on a daily basis outside of the reading.
Okay.
So some people have like little flashcards, some people put things on their phones, some people record certain notes to themselves and play it back. I had a person say that they listen to they have it on the book, on the audio, listen to it while they're driving in their car. So you need ways to really absorb this material. So definitely any other kind of ways that you can absorb the material would be great. Definitely use some kind of other software, whatever software is available that's comfortable for you, because the more questions that you answer, the better you're going to be equipped. Answer every question at the end of each chapter. And also at the end of the book, there are two full-blown exams at the end of the book. Take those exams as well. And there's also a state exam at the end of the book. And I tell my students, you have additional material ready at your fingertips. Not just to give you the answers, it tells you what page that the answer is on. And even the math, even gives you a breakdown of the math. So the book is very, very important by itself. But students have a tendency to overlook the book and all the details that the book has to offer.
Yeah, that book it's a little over 500 pages, but one of the advantages that students have that are attending a virtual webinar, a Zoom webinar with you, Aaron, is they do get that book in an ebook format.
Right.
So that ebook format can help set you up for success as well because of that audio feature. Now,
Exactly.
I'm an avid reader, but that's because I've trained myself to be. If you're not picking up a book, reading something, or doing, virtually reading, not virtually, but in real time, having or holding a paperback book in your hand, you're not going to be really good at being an avid reader. However, audiobooks for me are huge. Like I can finish an audiobook in a day sometimes. The benefit of that ebook, it has that audio feature. So just like you just said, Aaron, a student was driving. Instead of
Yes.
listening to music that day, pop your, log into your book
Right.
and have your book playing so that sometimes it seeps in where your auditory skills pick it up. Whereas if you're visual, you don't always see it, but to hear it, it does work. Yes, those end of chapter exams, huge, because
Huge.
it's practice questions.
Right.
Practice makes perfect. Those unit exams at the end of the book, the exams that are at the midterms or whatever that are at the very back of the book,
Right.
huge area. And that's a part of your course. You're not paying anything extra for those.
Extra for that. And also, what I tell my students is that find your strength, being that are you a morning person? Are you an afternoon person? Are you evening person?
Good
That's
stuff.
the time that you should study
Yes. Or
because that's
take
when
your
you.
class. Take your class.
I'm a morning person
Yes.
all day long. So yeah, my strength and my energy is definitely in the morning.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
so find your, and then and also when you study, I tell them don't study for too long periods of time because you get burned out. Maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Take a break.
Right.
Come back to it. You're trying to study, memorize all some material over 2 or 3 hours. Usually that doesn't work.
Okay. There's an old saying that for every hour that you're in class, you should be studying 1 hour outside of class. That works for some people, but the way my life is set up,
Right.
it doesn't always work for me. And I'm probably like an average student. I've got children. I work a full-time job. I have other responsibilities, a social life. But the importance and the significance that Aaron and I are stressing to you, Facebook, YouTube, Zoom, Instagram, whomever, you have to read the book. You have to
Right.
study. You have to make the time because the time that you put in learning the materials, you need to go just as quickly after finishing your course to take the exam. Right, Aaron? You don't suggest that they
Exactly.
wait to take the exam.
I would say no more than about 30 days at the most.
I say
And
2 weeks.
yeah, that's right. That's pushing it. That's really pushing it.
I say 2
Absolutely.
weeks.
But the key, like Lanora was saying, is definitely discipline. You have to discipline yourself to take this class and to study on your own. I can only do so much as far as material, as
Right.
far as handouts, but in the end, it's ultimately up to the student and their dedication, their discipline to the course.
Now, Aaron is one of our phenomenal instructors, as I've already mentioned, over at the Realtors Real Estate School. I guess my next question to you, Aaron, because I know, hint, hint, Aaron has a class coming up September 8th. It is
Right.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays via Zoom, 9 a.m. to 12:45 each day. And it'll take a little over 6 weeks to finish it that way. So we know where Mr. Joyner is going to be
Absolutely.
between September 8th and I believe October 21st or something of that nature.
Whatever it is.
Whenever it is, Aaron's going to be over at the Realtors Real Estate School. Why do you recommend or suggest that a student attend the Realtors Real Estate School and your class in particular?
Well, with our school, we have a variety of classes that we offer. I do like that aspect. We have a morning class, which is my class. We have the evening class. We have Saturday classes. We have accelerated classes. So we have a variety of classes that would fit the needs of the students, number one. Number two, as far as my class, if you're a morning person, you want to get it on every morning, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, come to my class. Definitely entertaining, very, very enlightening. Like you see me now, I'm like this every single morning. This is how I greet my students. And I'm like this throughout the whole 3 hours and 45 minutes. They say, where you get this energy from? I'm a morning person. I'm a people person.
Yes.
This is what I do. And I enjoy teaching. I love teaching. I love when the students come and say, I passed the exam. I had a couple students just email me recently. I passed my exam on the first time. That makes me feel good.
Yes.
So yeah. So come on to my class September the 8th, and we're gonna get it on.
Get it on. Get it on. Well, Aaron, I think that's all the questions that I have for you. I don't have any other questions so far that I can see in the chat, but I just want to thank you. Thank you for
You're
hanging
welcome.
out with me briefly on today. I appreciate you doing that. I'm going to definitely make sure that the people know that you have a class coming up. And if you join Aaron in his class, please let him know that you saw this Zoom and Facebook Live session and how it helped you make the decision. But last but not least, not only is Aaron's class coming up on September 8th at the Realtors Real Estate School, we are also offering an in-person session. So maybe you wanted to try to get it done in an accelerated format, which would be Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 each day for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And it is in person at our downtown location at 430 North Michigan. You do have to register in advance for all of the classes that we hold, whether they're in person or virtual. And one thing about Aaron's class, with it being virtual, you definitely want to register in advance because we do have to get materials over to you. Myself will be sending out a confirmation to you, including your ebook, the link for the webinar, so on and so forth. So let's do things in a timely and fashion, decent and in order, and get your registration completed today.
Absolutely. I look forward to you all joining me September 8th.
Yes.
Let me do my part to help you get your real estate license.
Yep. And then let us know that you successfully passed and earned your
Absolutely.
real estate license. All right,
Absolutely.
Aaron. Look, I got to get back to my full time.
Okay, good. But thank you all for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks a
I
lot.
appreciate you too. Thank you so much. Hold on, Aaron. Don't drop.
Okay.
Facebook, I want to thank you. YouTube, I want to thank you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Office Hours with Lanora. Until we meet again, ta ta for now. Bye bye.